Yes, team, and welcome to today's training. So, we have discussed at length the importance of the very first thought we have in the morning, and also how this sets the tone for the day. And this week, we've worked hard on the 9 affirmations that we need to be telling ourselves each and every morning. Next weekend's training will be on those 9 affirmations and just how we can use them a little bit better to ensure that we set ourselves up for ultimate success each and every morning. Now, here's the big thing. Something actually happens before our first thought in the morning and before we run into that critical process of saying thank you, practicing gratitude, and having the morning routine of the affirmations, which sets us up for the day. For some of us, that thing happens for a full 8 hours. For some of us, it happens for 5 hours. And what happens, which is so important, which you haven't realized, is what happens in our sleep. So, what we're going to learn today is that with just one night of focused attention, letting go, and surrendering, absolutely everything in life can change for you. Right here, right now, starting tonight. And I want each and every one of you to do this. So imagine tonight, instead of laying in bed, thinking negative thoughts, why this, why that, lack, scarcity, I don't have enough money, my partner doesn't love me, everyone at work drives me round the bend, nothing ever seems to work out for me, and everything in between. Imagine changing that narrative, because 90% of you either fall asleep completely exhausted and burnt out to a level where you're not remotely in control of what your thoughts are thinking. You also lay in bed worried, stressed, scrolling, overthinking what's happened in the day, overthinking what needs to happen tomorrow, and replaying the same old emotions, the same old stresses, and the same old stories of the past. Now, tonight, choose to do it, choose to don't, entirely up to you. One will lead to a happier life, one will lead to you staying stuck. You can make a decision to become someone completely new. You can make a decision tonight to stop worrying and to start thriving, to start focusing on the future and stop being shackled by memories of the past. You can choose to become someone new and write a new story. So how different could life look if only for one night this happened? And then 7 nights, and then 14 nights, and then 21 nights. Because we can choose to focus on a compelling vision of the future and nothing else if we train ourselves to do this, or we can keep telling the same boring, negative, soul-destroying, limiting stories of the past that you've told yourself your entire life. If you want that for yourself, cool, but I'm guessing you don't, or you wouldn't be watching this. So tomorrow is not created tomorrow. We are now going 5, 6, 7, 8 hours behind last week's training. Yes, the first thought is important, but it's not nearly as important as the last thought before you go to bed. Because until you become world class at channeling your first thought, ultimately your first thought will always be your last thought. Some of you will be going, wow, I've never thought of it like that. This is why, ultimately, test it. The first thing you think about will always be the last thing you thought about, without any shadow of a doubt, 10 times out of 10. So tonight, let's start programming the subconscious mind whilst we are sleeping, not loading it up with stress, anxiety, and worry and stories of the past before allowing it to then fester there for 8 hours and wondering why we wake up stressed. So the last thing in your thought is just as important. The last thing in your thoughts is just as important as the first thing. You can control both, but if you don't control the first will ultimately control the latter. So when we're sleeping, this is why it's so powerful, right? Because there's no distractions. There's no pattern interrupt. There's no emotions. And we don't have these false beliefs going around. We don't have this false identity, these limiting beliefs, these limitations, these stories that we've told ourselves. They all lose their power whilst you're asleep because it's subconscious. So your mind then becomes a canvas for change. How exciting does this sound? Leon, my God, I can move forwards in my sleep. Okay. But much like a computer doesn't do what you tell it to do unless you program it. Your staff don't tell you what to do unless you teach them every single day. Your kids don't know how to live or how to believe unless you teach them every single day. But again, the mind is the same. You don't train a member of staff or try and teach a dog to sit or try and get your kids to behave in a certain way and understand something. And when it's not completely nailed after 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 days, oh, fuck that. That doesn't work. I'm not doing that again. This might take years and months. And this is my biggest bugbear with you guys at the moment. I'm going to be dropping quite a lot of 5-minute shorter videos, trainings into the private WhatsApp group because these things and thoughts that I have that don't really create a full training, but they need handling. Like the biggest one is some of you, it doesn't matter how many times I say this. I could say it until I'm fucking blue in the face. You expect to see change in your life every single fucking week. And when it doesn't happen, you have a meltdown. You expect the scales, the 90% of you ladies, I'm sorry if this is all you, you still expect the scales to change every fucking week. And if they don't, you lose your shit. Well, if they changed every week, by the end of this year, you'd be fucking dust. It's not going to happen. And it doesn't happen over a 7-day period. Even for one tiny bit of fat to start to dissolve, burn, disappear, whatever word you want to use. You're talking a deficit of 350 calories a day for at least 10 days and the same on the way up. Yet still, because you've programmed your subconscious mind, which is the same as this, I must see change every week. If not, I'm not good enough and everything's bad in the world. It must be my hormones. It must be my thyroid. It must be carrots. It must be the time of the year. It must be the weather. I don't know. But it's not. What it must be is that you need to change that limiting thought. So again, if you're programming, this isn't your fault, right? I'm not saying this to be facetious or to take the piss. Like you've programmed your head for probably the last 20 years due to shit cunt plans like Weight Watchers and Slimming World and Juice Plus and Fat Camp and everything else in between. And did I really just say that on a video that's going on YouTube? Yes, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, bitches come at me because I don't care. You programmed yourself after being programmed by them. Also, truth bomb, most of them are fat. That you have to lose weight every week, Karen. Which is why you have to come in a room full of other fucking Karens and stand on a set of scales. And if you don't, you're not good enough. So you feel like shit and you go to the fucking chippy on the way home and then you repeat the whole process. Why do you do that? It's not your fault. You didn't do it when you were 7. You got programmed by Karen from Weight Watchers, who's fat and trying to sell you bars that make you less fat every week. These plans don't care. They're just money-making things. That's why they're multi-million-pound companies. They're very good at it. But that's an analogy for you to take away from this. That thought, that limiting belief, that feeling, that emotion, it didn't just happen. It was programmed by another person and then you programmed it. So whatever you've been programming yourself before you go to sleep is what will happen in the morning, which is why we need to become aware of it. Okay? So program your subconscious before you fall asleep. This is what we're going to do. You can program your subconscious to say, I love my partner so much. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful they're in my entire world. and my kids and my career and my house. And I'm grateful for air and water and opportunity and money in the bank and food on the table. And I am so lucky. And those will be your thoughts for that entire period. Or you can program the opposite. Everyone's doing my head in. My husband's an arsehole. My wife's a bitch. My kids are a fucking nightmare. I hate my job. I don't have enough money. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I'm never going to lose weight. Everything in the world's bad. Cost of living this, government that, NHS that. Meh, 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 meh. Guess what? All night, your head's going to be saying those things. Whatever we program it, the same as the morning thoughts, it will get more of and it will develop. You getting this, yeah? So, in just one night, we need to surrender. It's not normally a word that I like to use, but we need to surrender those thoughts, surrender those past beliefs, let go of whatever it is. This sounds really crazy and absurd, right? But, you know, if someone did something really bad to you, if your partner cheated on you with 10 different guys in one night, you still need to let go of it. If you ate 44 slices of red velvet cake yesterday, you still need to let go of it. If you sniffed 7 bags of cocaine this weekend, went through half of Yorkshire, and you're still sat in a kitchen now, struggling with guilt, regret, and shame, you're still going to have to let go of it. Whatever is done is done. Okay. You berating yourself and trying to think about why it happened or whose fault it was or why you ate the cake or why you took the drugs or why you drank the drink or placed the bet or whatever it is. Okay. Doesn't matter. You hanging on to that and berating yourself and creating negative emotions around it isn't going to help you. It's going to reinforce the pattern. It's reinforcing a negative affirmation. So we have to surrender it, and you have to start doing this every night. Because when you start focusing on possibility rather than problems, everything will change for you. We are always programming our future, whether we're programming it based on memories of the past or a compelling vision of the future. We're always programming it. But which one of them is a choice, and it's a skill. Because every thought you think, every word you say, every belief that you reinforce, every limitation that you reinforce will lead to your actions. It leads to your behaviors. It leads to how you show up. If you keep reinforcing a belief that you're always going to be a fatty and that you're never going to lose weight and that nothing ever happens right for you in the world, every time you say it, you're reinforcing that belief. And then guess what? You're not going to go to the gym next week. Well, why would you go to the gym? Because deep down, you've got a reinforced belief and an affirmation that you're always going to be fat. Same with never making any money. Same with always being lonely or single or any of these things that people battle with. Low self-worth. I'm not good enough. Every time you say it, you reinforce it. So why not change the narrative and reinforce it? And the thing is, this is so much easier when your brain is about to fall asleep subconsciously and it's moving from beta to alpha to theta, which is the 3 different phases which we're going to come on to. So why not program positive affirmations? Why not program change? Why not program the future? Because if not, this is what happens. And some of you will be laughing now because you'll be like, oh my God, this is me in a nutshell, which it is. And it's me in a nutshell. Was me in a nutshell, still is me in a nutshell sometimes. So most people go to bed stressed, sleep stressed, if at all, because cortisol and sleep just do not mix. And then they wake up stressed because they're thinking the same stressful thoughts that they thought before they went to bed and that they were in their subconscious while they were kind of half sleeping because they were so stressed. And then they're fucking bemused when they wake up and they're like, God, I had such a stressful day. Not surprised, you programmed it. That's like saying, I cannot believe I put 2 + 2 into the calculator and it fucking said 4. Of course it did. You programmed it. This is where you need to change. You're in charge. You choose the inputs. You choose what radio station you tune into. Tune into happy or tune into sad. Tune into abundance or tune into lack. Tune into gratitude or Tune into misery. But the moment that you close your eyes, okay, your thoughts are heading into the subconscious and they are writing the script for the next day. So why not start to write a new script? Why not start to read the story of your new life before bed? Why not start to think greater than your current set of limitations, your current environment, your current circumstances? Like massively greater. Why not start to see the future instead of the past? And why not, before you go to bed, this beautiful subconscious mind, pick up this blueprint of your life that you've written that includes everything that you want and hand it to your subconscious mind to read nonstop for 8 hours. It sounds ridiculous, but that's what happens. Like these brain waves don't stop because we're sleeping. They're still on a frequency. So if you tune into shit depressed FM before you go to bed, then that's what's going to happen. If you tune into radio lack and scarcity, well, that's what you're going to wake up with. If you tune into radio, I'm going to be single forever, nobody loves me, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, and nothing's ever going to work out, then that's what your radio station brain is going to listen to. Okay? So when you start to tune into a compelling vision of your future, like, and just, this doesn't even have to be massive, right? This could be one thought. This could be, all I need to do is keep going, keep showing up. And one day I'm going to live my dream life, have my dream body, and everything's going to be okay. It could be that simple. You don't need to be you don't need to be handing your subconscious mind a novel before you go to bed. But very much, this one I have at the minute, I'm not going to share it because it's very personal. But I've been having one horrible negative thought at the minute that I haven't been able to let go of for weeks. And I keep trying to let go of it and it keeps popping up and I'm like, why are you there again? And I've just swapped it for one other thought. And that one other thought is actually 3 words, which I'm not going to share. But every time that thought pops up, I'll say those 3 words. Every time. Within a second. It's like an alarm clock now. As soon as the thing pops in that's not serving me, I say 3 words. And then I think about those 3 words and my mind changes. When you do this, trust me, when you swap a vision of the future with a memory of the past, like incredible things will start to happen, because the reality is, right, your subconscious doesn't know the difference. It's not no one's controlling it whilst you're sleeping. It doesn't know what's real and what's not. It doesn't know whether you're a fat fuck or a fitness model. It doesn't know whether you have £1 million or you're struggling to pay your bills. Doesn't know whether you're single and lonely and addicted to pornography and mother hand and her 5 lovely daughters, or in the most loving relationship you ever could have imagined in your whole life. It doesn't know the difference. It's not a real thing. So tell it what you want it to believe. Tell your subconscious mind what you want it to believe. Do you want it to believe that you're fat and you'll never lose weight? Or do you want it to believe that you're on a one-way road to your dream body? Do you want it to believe that you're full of gratitude and wealth and abundance, or that you're operating from lack and scarcity and fear? Because whichever one you tell it, it will think about in its sleep. So, recap this initial stage. What we think about before we go to bed is more important than last week's first thought of what we think about when we get up. Why? Because it's in your subconscious for the entire time you're asleep, and your subconscious cannot resist. The subconscious doesn't know what's real and what's not. So let's create a game of starting to program the mind. Whatever you program your mind with, which is your thoughts, which creates your feelings, which creates your actions, will create your personal reality. I'll say that again. Whatever you choose to program your mind with, which is your thoughts, will create your feelings will create your behaviors will create habits will create your personal reality or the life that you live. So if you keep telling yourself a really shit story, you're going to have a really shit life and you're going to feel really shit. The end. Now, as we've talked about so far, the most important thing with this is before we fall asleep. So, as I said, the subconscious mind doesn't know whether you're telling the truth or not. This is why what you say about yourself to yourself is more important than anyone else, because you can say it 100 times a day. I'm just saying 100 times a day, I am loved, I am grateful, I am worthy, I am amazing, I'm exactly where I should be. I'm a perfect reflection of the hard work or lack of work that I put in. I am enough. And you say it 1,000,000 times a day. Guess what? Your mind believes it. Believes it to such a level, it will then fall asleep thinking about it, and you'll wake up thinking about it. And everything in life will change for you. Same happens the other way. I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. Nothing ever works out for me. I can't stick to any diet plan. I can't keep my feet out of the fridge. I'll never lose weight. Believes it time and time and time and time again. It's why those religious people who knock on your door can just talk millions and millions of words about their beliefs. Why? Because they've said them 1,000 times before. They're memorized. They'll think about them all day. They'll think about them when they wake up. They'll think about them when they fall asleep. This is why they can recite reams and reams and reams of books, religious books. Well, that religious book is also the blueprint of your life. So write your own Bible. Fuck knows where I'm going with this. Write your own Bible, which is your blueprint of life, and create your, imagine this. This is not in my notes and I'm going way off topic here, but I'm fucking loving this. Write your own Bible. Create the religion of your life and then rehearse it. Create the religion of your life and then rehearse it over and over and over again until you think about it when you get up. You think about it when you fall asleep. You think about it all day and you act on it. So what I'm telling you is that whatever you think about before you fall asleep determines what you wake up to. Well, why is this? So you guys need some understanding as well, because the brain is basically a network of patterns and memories. That's it. Your brain is basically, if you picked up your phone and you went screenshot, 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 that is what is in your brain. All past. The future-based ones, we have to create them. But the reality is, most of your limiting beliefs, most of your thoughts, most of what's in your Bible, what's in your blueprint, and everything in between has pretty much been formed since you were 4 years old. And half of it wasn't even programmed by you. It was programmed by your parents, your teachers, your mentors, your regimental sergeant major, your brothers, your sisters, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, other people, the press, the media, newspapers. It hasn't even been programmed by you, and it's been programmed for 30 years plus. So we can't then just expect to undo 30 years worth of reinforcement about a certain belief, I'll never lose weight, in 7 days of listening to Lee Freeman's mindset videos. Yes, I'm very good. I'm not that good. So this is why we don't realize, what we don't realize is that 95% of who we are is subconscious, and it's been running on autopilot our entire life. So this is where we have the two opportunities to interrupt it: as soon as we get up and as soon as we go to bed. And the sleeping stage is when the subconscious is at its calmest, and it will just, it's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a submissive pushover. Like it will just accept anything. Like start telling your mind that that you're good enough and you're going to have the best life ever, and that you're worthy and that you're loved and all these things in the afternoon when we're fully awake, when we're in either what's called beta or alpha, then very often the mind's awake and it's conscious. So it'll go, fuck off, that's not true. You're always going to be fat. Fuck off, that's not true. You're never going to have money. Fuck off, that's not true. No one's ever going to love you. And you'll meet resistance, right? But when we're sleeping, it's like a puppy that's rolled over and it's, oh, tickle my tummy. There's no resistance whatsoever. So that's when we need to persuade it the most. So we wake up. This is the reality of where most people live. We wake up, we think the same thoughts, we experience the same feelings, we behave the same way, and then we check in with Lee once a week and we go, fuck me, nothing's changed. Of course it hasn't changed, because your inner world will always be the driver for your outer world. Your outer world will always reflect your inner world. If you've got chaos in your head, you'll have chaos in your life. So we wake up, we think the same thoughts, we experience the same feelings, we behave the same way, we have the same outcomes, nothing changes, and we have the same personal reality. Because if nothing changes internally, nothing will change external. This is where everybody goes wrong. They're running around trying to change other people, trying to change their relationship. I'm loving doing some work that I'm doing with couples at the minute because it's just hilarious. Relationship stuff. So what needs to happen for you to move forward? Well, if only he could be like, okay, cool, let's write all that down. James, over to you. What needs to happen to move forward? Well, if only she could. Okay, both of you, 2 separate rooms, go look in the fucking mirror. What do you need to change about you in order for your family to move forward? Well, I never thought about that. Well, I never thought about that. Subconscious. Both people at lockdown, all they've been thinking about, probably for the last 12 months of their unhappy existence in a relationship, is what the other person needs to change in order for them to be happy. That doesn't happen. The external changes when we change the internal, because the same patterns will lead to the same limitations and they will keep repeating themselves over and over and over again until we interrupt them. Because we're living in the past. Another great question when that happens. I'm going off on another tangent here, but couples will go, do, 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 do. Brilliant. Tell me 10 things you love and appreciate about her. Okay, just get divorced. No, honestly, I don't say that. But it's a pattern interrupt to the level where, wow, fuck. Actually, she's amazing and she's really loyal and she's a great mum and she works really hard and she's put up with so much of my shit over the years and she's right. Okay, now we're moving somewhere because we're looking to change the pattern. We're looking to interrupt it. We're looking to change the thought process, not living in the past. So tonight, we're going to look to change this. We've worked last week on the internal morning thoughts. Now we're going to work on the internal evening thoughts. So as I said, we can change this tonight, unless you want to stay the same. If you do, that's cool. So instead of falling asleep tonight with the same old patterns, the same old stresses, the same old worries, the same old limitations, the same old negative thoughts, we are going to awaken the mind, which sounds a little bit absurd before you go to sleep. But I want you to start to think before you go to sleep, not to a level where you're wired, but I want you to start to introduce new possibilities. I want you to introduce a new mind. I want you to introduce a new vision of your future. I want you to see it. I want you to introduce new beliefs, new goals, and what I like to call a new personal reality. That's what meditation is for me. Some people, it's a pattern interrupt. Some people go 8 hours transcendental. For me, it is purely an envisionment of a new personal reality, internal and external. So the reason why, and it doesn't have to be a meditation, it can just be 5 minutes quiet time before bed, thinking about your future, thinking about who you love and why you love them, thinking about how you want tomorrow to go and why. Think about what habits you need to change. Thinking about love, thinking about belief, thinking about drop, whatever it is for you. This is different for every single person because it's your thing. You're basically thinking about your compelling vision of your future, internal and external, before bed. And when you slowly fall in asleep, your mind's not going to resist it. As I said, it's going to become the puppy, because in the day, the mind's over analytical. Like, who's ever had this problem? Who's ever had like this scenario before, when you're like, I used to do this loads when I was like really into Tony Robbins, like pure brainwashing. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this, I'm going to, this is going to happen, and da 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 da, like listing all this out, and then like 10 minutes later, I'm going, shut up, dickhead. Like, that is never, ever, you are never, ever going to achieve that. Stop being a bellend. Like, why? Because my mind's awake, it's analytical. And no sooner have I said it, my mind's going, wow, you fucking said that in 2012. And look at you now, you're still here, aren't you? So what's my mind done? Fucking hell, it's rewound 13 years into the past and found me direct blueprint evidence of why what I've just said is utter bullcrap. That doesn't happen before bed. That doesn't happen when you're sleeping. And it's, you'll read a lot of these things when people say about dream cars and like literally feeling the steering wheel, smelling the leather, smelling the interior of the car, feeling your abs that might not be there yet. Rhonda Byrne goes right down the lines of like, when she was single, she like literally kept all her clothes in one half of the wardrobe. Like, she slept on one half of the bed. She parked the car on one side of the drive because she was always envisioning meeting her perfect partner. Well, how could that be if she had all the wardrobe space? She starfished in the middle of the bed and she parked right across both car parking places. She's basically subconsciously saying, no room at the inn here for Mr. Perfect. So that's when it becomes analytical. And then we stop being open to change because the mind goes back to a memory of the past. So all I want you to do tonight is try and fall asleep thinking about your future, thinking about the body. This is actually fun. Like, I actually did this to like a level once when I went, I'm not really into the deep stuff. I am into the deep stuff. I just can't control my mind long enough to get into it. I'm going to keep practicing, but I'd done this a couple of times when I was like, literally, it was like I'd had like ketamine or trips or something, a real kind of psychedelic drug, because I was actually like at the bottom of like a water slide at a water bungalow in the Maldives, and like Logan was flying down the slide into my arms and he was like laughing and joking and stuff. So I was like envisioning it on such a level, and I was there with my perfect partner and we were on the perfect holiday and we were married and we had this family unit, and one day this is all going to happen, maybe sooner than we think. But I did it on such a level that it felt real. And that's what it is. And because it was in meditation, because it was first thing in the morning and last thing at night, that's when the body's less resistance. Any other time, it becomes more analytical. Before you know it, you're arguing over who didn't put the toilet seat back down and who left the salt and pepper out, and who hasn't hoovered the fucking lounge today. So, we need to break out of this to create these things. So when we fall asleep, the mind actually moves from 3 phases. It moves from beta, which is in the day, which is intense analytical problem solving, even more intense if you're you or I, Jane, which we know. It then moves, I always never been able to pronounce this strong. It then moves into alpha, which is a more relaxed kind of creative state, and then it moves into theta. I think that's how they pronounce it, which is the moment when you're just surrendering, you're just about to fall asleep, and that's the doorway to the subconscious. So this is why just really start to have an awareness of, what am I thinking about before I go to bed, and am I focusing on my future? Because this is the time when we become future focused without resistance. This is the time when we can, I'm trying to think how to describe it in my own way. Like the subconscious before sleep thing is like, let's say you could train for half an hour when you're in beta in the day, you manage to pattern interrupt, you get the work done, you're doing the deep work, but then you have to go back to life. So that was only half an hour's training. The whole subconscious thing is because it being on your mind whilst you're sleeping. If you can get it right, you're essentially getting 8 hours free training. Like basically the mind version of being on a treadmill for 8 hours, but not having to do anything, because that's what's going around in your thoughts. So, before we fall asleep, start thinking, what new beliefs do I want to install? What do I want to achieve in the future? What life do I want to live? What limitations do I need to let go of? What things have happened in the past that I can't change, that I just need to stop fucking talking about, because it is the biggest drain of energy and bandwidth in the world? Because I can be as angry about that thing that happened a year ago as I want. I'm never going to change it. And the only person I'm hurting with the emotion that's attached to that is me. So let go of the past before you go to bed and reprogram your future. Now, again, the deepness of the level that you want to go on this is different for different individuals. But if you want a really simplistic way to do it without thinking, right, what do I need? If you've got an overactive mind, like probably all three of us watching this, you could go too far into this. So you could be like, right, what do I need to let go of? Actually, right, I'm going to get a pen and paper out and a pad, right? And then you could go, right, what do I need to create my future? Fucking now I've got 17 pages. I'm in fucking bed. I was about to fall asleep and go into my subconscious, but now I'm about to fucking put Rocky on and go and run up some steps out of the town hill, because that's not what we're looking to achieve. So like this is what I wrote down. The most simplistic way of doing this is what I spoke about with Logan there, and the family unit and the holiday and being in love and being safe and it's just an image. It's one image of how I want my future to look. That's it. And I'm just holding that whilst I'm falling asleep. But here's the slight change. I'm not just holding the image. I'm holding the image and then I'm attaching it. Focus equals feelings. Focus equals feelings. Focus equals feelings. I'm focusing on the image and then I'm feeling how it's going to make me feel. Well, how will I feel? How will that moment make me feel? Well, it's going to make Steve banging some pre-workout and he's about to go and run 17 miles. How it makes me feel, not just the image. So how's it going to make me feel? Loved, happy, content, worthy, grateful, safe. Wow. Then how am I going to feel when I wake up? Loved, happy, safe, grateful, focused on my future, not on my past. So don't just create the image before you fall asleep. Create the emotion of actually having it, of actually feeling it. And this is again why gratitude before bed and in the morning is so, so, so important. Because imagine saying thank you for something as if it's already happened. This is when we go back to some of Dispenza's work is unbelievable on this mind stuff. And he talks about saying thank you for something as if it's already happened is like ordering something from Amazon. It's like you're ordering from the cosmic universe of gifts and the life that you want. So you don't order something from Amazon and then sit back and psychoanalyze whether it's actually going to come or not, or when it might turn up. You just order what you want, and it sends you back an email and it says, thank you for placing your order. And you might say, thank you, no problem at all. And you just trust that it's going to happen. Life is the same. So when we're feeling like we've already got it and feeling grateful as if we've already received it, that's when we are open to receiving it, because we're broadcasting a field into the universe zoning into our frequency, ordering what we want, and the brain and the body will just accept it as truth. It just says, yeah, cool, I'm just going to sit back and wait to receive that now. But we have to be in a place of receiving. Now, there's the final bit to wrap this up before I go training. This was the mind mash of this entire training for me. And I was like, fuck. The reality is every single thing, every single word that I've spoken in this entire 41 minutes, one day I'll keep one to half an hour, probably not anytime soon. You're already doing it. You are already doing every single thing I've spoken about on this training. Every part. You're feeling the emotion. You're picturing the future. You're thinking the thoughts when you get up. You're thinking them before you go to bed. You're programming your mind before you go to bed, whether you choose to believe me or not. And so we're not actually changing anything that we're doing. Nothing at all. We're just changing it from going to bed and waking up, rehearsing the past, the limitations, the lack, the scarcity, and we're just reprogramming it to rehearse in the future, not the past. So we can be pulled and inspired by a compelling vision of the future rather than held back and shackled by memories of the past. Let's go.